Individuals were roaming free in your city because your policies do not cooperate with detainers, and so ICE is then going to get these people off the street. You would agree that the streets are safer without these individuals on your streets.
A Minneapolis mayor is in the hot seat. A grieving family offers a shocking perspective, and we have raw footage that changes the entire debate. We're breaking down the disconnect between political talking points and the dangerous reality on the ground. Let's get into it.
I want to ask you about this. When you talk about the confusion, and you've been open, obviously, about your support for the president, when you look at the videos of what happened, and I'm sure they're very hard for you, Timmy, to watch if you've even been able to. But the Deputy Attorney General says that the Justice Department doesn't believe that there's evidence to back a criminal investigation, right? And nothing about charges or anything like that, just an investigation into what happened in terms of the ICE agents' actions. But they were, according to the prosecutors resigning today, pressuring them to investigate Renee's actions and Becca, her wife's actions. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's a hard situation all the way around. It's hard for for everybody involved. I mean, the ICE agent, at first I didn't see the footage where he was actually, he was actually being ran. I mean, I seen the bump of the car hitting his legs. And so in a flash like that, it's hard to say how you would react. From my understanding that he had been through that before, maybe dragged or something. And so, like I said, it's just a hard situation for everybody. Becca, she's a great person as well. I mean, I don't have any enemies. I love everybody. And that's what the Bible tells us, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But, I think there's some bad choices. And the word says, for the wrath of God will come upon the children of disobedience. And, it's I don't blame ICE. I don't blame Rebecca. I don't blame Renee. I just wish that, if we're walking the Spirit of God, I don't think she would have been there. That's the way I look at it.
This is an incredibly heavy moment, and honestly, the grace this man is showing is rare in today's climate. Notice what he said. He isn't looking for a political scapegoat. He acknowledged that bad choices were made, and that if she hadn't been in that specific situation, the outcome would be different. It's a stark contrast to the usual outrage cycle we see. He's focusing on personal accountability and the tragedy of the loss rather than fueling a narrative. That kind of honesty in the middle of grief is something you almost never see on national television. It sets a very different tone for what we're about to see next from the politicians.
Individuals were roaming free in your city because your policies do not cooperate with detainers, and so ICE is then going to get these people off the street. You would agree that the streets are safer without these individuals on your streets.
Look, in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, we are anti-murder, we are anti-crime, we are for improving the safety wherever we can. And by the way, we have worked with administrations, both present and past, to drive down crime. We've worked with the DEA, the ATF, the FBI to prosecute and charge violent crime. We've worked to get perpetrators of violent gun crime off the street, narcotics off the street. In fact, the work that was conducted was so successful, it resulted in the lowest number of shootings on record on, for instance, the North Side. We are willing to work with people when it's about murder and when it's about crime. But the truth is that this ain't about that. If this were about that, we'd have many important areas where there would be areas where we could work together. This, however, is the largest immigration enforcement action on record in the United States.
This is a classic political pivot. Did you catch it? The question was specific. Are the streets safer without these individuals who have criminal records? Instead of a simple yes, the mayor defaults to broad slogans like, "We are anti-murder." Well, everyone is anti-murder. That's the baseline of civilization, not a policy achievement. He claims they cooperate on major crimes, but the friction point here is the proactive cooperation before it gets to that level. When leadership focuses on semantics, while federal agencies are conducting the largest enforcement action on record in their city, it tells you there is a massive breakdown in communication between local and federal levels.
Obviously, protesters pushing back on law enforcement. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, at one point claiming that the officer wasn't even hit, that he walked off with a limp. Now you have what is on our screen now for the viewers from CBS News. Just put this out roughly less than 20 minutes ago, Senator. CBS News says this: breaking, the ICE agent who fatally shot Renee Good on January 7th in Minneapolis, Jonathan Ross, suffered internal bleeding to the torso following the incident, according to 2 U.S. officials briefed on his medical condition. And it goes back to the messaging of lawmakers like Jacob Frey coming out and saying that he wasn't even hit, he wasn't even hurt. Now you have CBS News reaching out with this information that this officer indeed suffered internal bleeding. Talk to us about getting out in front of the messaging, in front of creating rather a narrative, and how dangerous that really is, because you don't have all the facts yet. And now we're seeing some of them come to light. The ICE agent indeed suffered internal bleeding, according to CBS sources.
And here is where the narrative completely collapses under the weight of facts. We heard earlier suggestions that the agent wasn't really hurt or just walked away with a limp. Now we have confirmation of internal bleeding. That is a serious, life-threatening injury. This highlights the danger of rushing to minimize an incident before the medical reports are out. When you downplay violence against law enforcement to suit a political stance, you lose credibility the moment the hospital report drops. Internal bleeding isn't a bump, it's a severe trauma. It changes this from a procedural dispute to a violent assault on a federal officer.
So long as the Republican Party and the Trump administration is using ICE to attack American citizens and shoot mothers in the face, I'm not willing to have a conversation with them about any other bad faith attempts to terrorize U.S. citizens.
For the president is that Americans understand that this is no longer about immigration. This is about a secret police force that Donald Trump and the Republicans have unleashed on American streets and cities. And anybody can be caught in their net. And that was made obvious when Renee Good was killed by one of these officers. And now the administration has doubled down trying to justify her killing. And that has only angered Americans.
Listen to the language being used here. Secret police, terrorize. These are highly charged, emotional terms designed to evoke fear rather than describe law enforcement. Framing federal agents enforcing standing immigration laws as a rogue, secret force creates a dangerous environment. It tells the public that these agents are illegitimate targets. But when you strip away the inflammatory rhetoric and look at the actual job hazards, the picture is terrifyingly different. Let's look at what these agents actually face when they try to make an arrest.
Troopers, Texas police. Come out of the car. Come out of the car. Come out of the car. Open the window. Yo, he's in proceedings. He's good to go. Let me get my way. Lower the window.
Watch out behind you. Watch out. Holy. Watch out in front of you! Watch out in front!
Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Gotta ram. Cut it off! Cut it off! Now! Cut it off! Turn off the car! Cut the car! Cut off! Come out of the car! Come out of the car! Come out! Now!
That right there is the reality. It's not a debate in a TV studio. It is split-second life or death chaos. You see a 3,000-pound vehicle being used as a weapon. In that moment, an agent doesn't have time to think about political optics or sanctuary definitions. They have to decide how to go home to their families. When we talk about cooperation and safety, this is the baseline we need to acknowledge. If you ignore this level of volatility, you aren't having a serious conversation about public safety. That vehicle is a lethal weapon, plain and simple. The gap between what we see in the footage and what we hear from the podiums is getting wider every day. What do you think? Was the mayor's response adequate, or is he dodging the reality of the situation? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more breakdowns. Stay safe.